Good morning, welcome back. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Let's get that one out of the way. Coffee. So, got a few things to share with you. Last night when I got home, I was going through my hard drive and I found a whole load of videos. So I was watching them and I thought, well, this one's worthy of uploading into the channel. And so I put it out there, and it was about some Star Trek magazines. Perhaps you've seen it, maybe not. It's a bit too soon yet. I think I only uploaded at 10 o'clock last night. However, I've had a few views on it, and one person made a comment, a guy called Looney WH, and he asked me a question. He said, he said he made a statement and then a few questions. He said, "Hi, great find. I'd love to hear about your premises. Did you ever work out of a spare room? And what made you upgrade? And what are all the costs involved?" So let's satisfy that query first, and then I'll give you an update on my business and how my efforts are paying off, how they're bearing fruit. So the background to this is I worked in haberdashery when I was a kid, working in a warehouse as a schlepper, basically carrying boxes. And I did it for about 18 months, and then I went on the markets for myself, selling haberdashery, and I did it for about a year. And then I went travelling around the world because I was really too young to run a business at that age. I was only 17. Although I enjoyed it, I loved it to bits. But we started off carrying suitcases on the buses because I couldn't drive. I couldn't drive until I was 26. But somebody who I knew that used to buy from us in the warehouse took pity on me, and he had a lockup underneath the rag market where you could go and put trolleys and lock them away. And he gave me some space, so I had a little trolley, and I used to put my stuff on there and put it on the stall. But I was still too young to be running a business. I didn't understand numbers or anything like that. I was just buying a bit of gear from the warehouse and putting it on the counter and just taking the money and then going out and drinking it on the night. That's what how I rolled when I was that age. So that's what you do, don't you? When I came back from travelling, there was 3 million people unemployed. When I went away, there was 1 million. This is around this is Margaret Thatcher's days, and I got it in my head that I couldn't get a job, so I just basically signed on, and I was unemployed for a good few years. Lost my confidence and everything. But that was the background to the haberdashery. That's how I got into it, how I knew about it, and moved forward some like 30 odd years, and my mother passed away, and that was a really big shock. It kind of stopped me in my tracks. It humbled me. It humbled me. It took the arrogance out of me because I was always going to conquer the world, and I was going to marry every single woman out there, and I was going to have that kind of kid. And when my mum went away, passed away, I realised I could be next, and that she comes to each and every one of us, and you can't get away from it. It depressed me. I lost my job, and I split up with a long-term relationship. Very sad time, very depressing time for me. And I'd had a bit of a windfall from leaving that job, enough to carry me forward for a few years. But I'd already paid my mortgage off, you see, so I was unencumbered. I paid my mortgage off in 6 years. I'll do another video on that, on how I did it. And so I was kind of well set up really to begin this business, but I didn't set about to begin it with the intentions of creating a business. I just didn't know what I was going to do. And I sat in my bedroom for 2 years, just smoking weed, just trying to nullify the pain. And it was no way out, but that was the only thing I could do at the time. Of course, my father would live with me, because I used to live in a high-rise council flat, and I bought that from the council. And then I moved out and bought the house that I'm in at the moment. And then eventually, I met a girl and I moved in with her. And she suggested that my dad move in to my house out of the flat. I thought, okay, it's a good idea. And the council decided to knock the flat down anyway. So my dad moved into my house, and then of course when my mum passed away and I split up with my ex, I had nowhere else to go. But the house had to move back in with my dad into my house. In the meantime, they knocked the council block of flats down, so I got a payout from that. So financially, I didn't have any worries, and that's a big factor that you need to understand. It's not so easy just to go and start up a business. If you haven't got any money behind you, you don't give up your job. Keep your job. It's the most important thing. It's the thing that puts the bread and butter on the table. And if you're going to basically start selling, doing reselling, that's probably the easiest thing to do. It's most profitable from what I can gather. And of course, you can do that from a bedroom. However, one day when I was sitting in my bedroom moping, there was a sat nav, an old sat nav, a Tom. I was given it. I was lent it years earlier, and the guy never wanted it back, so he just sat on this table gathering dust. And I was just intrigued one day. I used to go onto eBay and occasionally have a little look, but their help pages were atrocious. They're still bad to this day. They still don't make sense, but they were atrocious in those days. It was really, really bad. You couldn't make head nor tail of it. So I just basically jumped in and opened up a listing and took a photograph of this Tom, put it on, and it sold within about 10 minutes, and I was amazed. It woke me up actually out of my slumber. I kind of like, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. Because the thing that really caught my attention was that I didn't have to handle the money, because I really didn't know how I was going to get the money from the customer until I sold it. It was just an experiment, just to see what else could I couldn't lose anything, could I? If they closed my account down, so what? I thought, just mess about, just put it on and see what happens. And it sold, and my phone went ping after I accepted the sale, because she made me an offer, you see, and I accepted the offer, and my phone went ping, and it was PayPal. I'd installed it several years earlier. I didn't really understand what PayPal was at that time. Anyway, money went into this PayPal account, and that was that moment, the realization that I didn't have to touch the money. I didn't even know how I was going to send it at that particular point. But it was the thing that sparked a vision. And I moved towards that vision, and I started going to a warehouse that I knew, and I photographed everything, and I put the photographs on eBay. And when I got a sale from those photographs, I'd run off to the warehouse and buy the stuff and then send it out. That's how I did it. So even though I had the money to buy the stock, I thought, why risk it? If you can sell from photographs, why not? So that's how I started, and it was in a bedroom. And a few months later, I got some kind of part-time job, and it was awkward in terms of I could no longer run backwards and forwards to the warehouse. So all the photographs that I'd put on eBay, I had to go and buy that stock. So I went to the warehouse, spent 10k, and I put all this stuff in this little bedroom that I had. And it was worth it at the time, because at that particular month 3, I'd done £800 in sales. It's not a lot. I mean, on the haberdashery, you're selling buttons and making buttons. There's not a lot of profit in it, and there's a lot of competition, but there's a lot of demand for it, because people have got a lot of cash and a lot of leisure time these days. And so, what do they do with it? Well, they craft. If they're into it, they get into crafting, and that consumes their time. It gives them they follow their passion, and they get a great deal of satisfaction out of making something on a spiritual level. They do. I've done it, so I've made a few things. I'll show you what they are, and another video. But it's a great source of pride that I made something. They didn't teach me how to do tool making at school or woodworking or anything, and so I left school with no qualifications, no skills, no apprenticeship or anything like that. And yet, there you are, feeling useless until you make something yourself, and then you realise that you can do anything. Well, you think you can. But I digress. So I was in this bedroom, and I think I stayed there for about a good 12, 18 months. And it gave me purpose, it gave me a routine, it gave me a structure today, it gave me numbers to work out all the time, using spreadsheets. I was running a business. I was building a business. And it felt very, very, very good. It gave me a direction. I never signed on in that time. But after about a year or 18 months, maybe, I can't remember exactly how long I was in there, but I outgrew the bedroom. And I was tiptoeing around things. I'd go to the warehouse, bring it all back in a box or something, and once I'd unpacked it, there was just no space. It was only a tiny house anyway. So I went looking for rental space, and I didn't know much about renting an office or something, but I had an idea if I could get an office. And I went and rented an office that was no bigger than the bedroom that I was in, but it had a little extra little room. But nevertheless, it enabled me to get everything out into that place, and I think I was paying something like, not a lot of money. I think something like £23 a week seems to ring a bell. £200 a month, £50 a week it was. And I stayed there for about another 18 months. But in the meantime, my brother-in-law, he set up a business in this unit here. This unit is owned by the Birmingham City Council. It's called the Seedbed. I think they set it up in the 80s to basically help people set up businesses. So it's on a very low rent to start off with. It's about 400 odd square feet. I think 418 seems to ring a bell. But my father put the scaffolding in. He created a mezzanine. First a little shelf at the back, then he brought it forward. And then I realised that if we could bring it right forward to 2/3, I really wanted it to go across here as well. But he said no. He said you need the light and all that kind of thing. But I was able to expand up there, so I got a lot of stuff up there. It needs organising to extract more space, and of course I've got the floor space down here. And I've been in here for about 8 9 years. The rent is only about let me figure it out. I used to work it out on £11 a day, I think. But basically, I pay about £780 a quarter, and that includes all the service charges and everything. However, the Birmingham City Council, some of you have probably realised through your national news that they're in a mess. They went bankrupt, didn't they? They basically had to pay back pay to women doing the same job as men, going back 20 or 30 years, and that came to over £1 billion. And of course, the ratepayers, the taxpayers, the poll taxpayers, the council taxpayers have to pay that bill, and so they've had to make some drastic cuts, and that's why you're seeing all these, these bin bags all over the place. But Birmingham's like a tip at the moment. It'll be resolved, I'm sure, and then they'll have a job clearing it. But it reminds me of the winter of discontent in the 70s, the late 70s, where everyone was going on strike, the 3-day week, all that kind of thing. And I remember the bin bags and the rubbish bags around then. Well, computers going a bit funny. So it reminds me of that. It's like a cycle. Things go around, they come around, don't they? But the Birmingham City Council basically recently started selling off all their assets. And this estate is going to be sold, or at least it went up for auction, but I don't know if they've got any bidders or not. However, recently they sent us notification to tell us that they're splitting out the service charge from the rent, and that the service charge costs have increased by 147%. So now they bill us separately. I had to pay a back pay for 1 month, and the 1 month going forward, that was about 450 quid. And then immediately after that, I got my rent bill plus this new service charge bill. So it's gone up to over it's still about £800 a quarter. So 16, it's about £3,200 a year, which is really cheap. Really, really cheap. It's when they sell this place and there's the new landlord in, I'm expecting it to triple, because I think if you go find the similar unit in the private market, for sure you'd be paying about 12,000 a year, 15,000 a year. I'm convinced of it. I haven't done any benchmarking to see, but that's the cost of it, and it's a great site. It's got kind of free parking outside. Nobody bothers us. It's in the arsehole of Birmingham, and it's not. It's maybe about 3-4 minutes away from Birmingham's Royal Mail, the big massive depot in Newtown. So if I missed my collection on a Friday on the afternoon, on the first collection, because I'm the closest, so they come and visit me at 4 o'clock. So everything has to be ready for 4 o'clock. If I miss that, if I'm not ready for it, then I'll just basically drive up the road and drop it off. So for location point of view, it's brilliant. For security, it's great. It's gated, and it's anything. There's no heating in here, but so in the winter it's freezing. I have to wrap myself in a blanket. But I'm gonna get, because that's what my dad's attitude is. He's a hard Irishman. My old fella is. When I was a kid, his father, my grandfather, was his end of days. He was passing away, and we went to Northern Ireland to see him. And then we went to, his family came from Donegal, right at the northern tip of Donegal, to a place called Fanad. It's on the coast. You look out to the Atlantic Ocean, and it's rough country. I'm telling you, it's rough. It's a bit like if you go to the Isle of Skye or something like that. It's rough, and the hardy people. I mean, they do have the odd pub here and there, but they make their own poutine. That's how they get pissed. They drink poutine. Have you ever had poutine? Oh, you know about it. I'm telling you, one little bottle lid, enough to get you wankered. Anyway, so we went there, and he took me to a little. It was a cottage in a dip. So you got the sea, 150 meters from the sea. There's a dip, and inside it was a cottage, and next to it was a barn. And the barn was the original cottage. That's where my dad used to sleep, in the barn. when he was a kid, next to the animals. So he was born. He was, he came in that environment. Anyway, when we were getting close to this barn, I looked and I saw this old lady outside. It was my grandfather's sister, so it was my great auntie. I can't remember her name, but she was about 90 odd when we got there, and it was in the winter, and there was a barrel outside the front door, and when we got close, she couldn't see us coming because she was so old. As we got there, closer we got there, she was breaking the ice in the top of this barrel, and you could see her doing it. She was breaking it. You could see the spray of the ice with the hammer. She was hammering it, and then she put her head in it to wash her hair. It shocked me. It made me realise how primitive life is out there. You know what I mean? And my dad was born into this environment. So when he comes here and he feels the cold, and I'm saying I'm cold. He says, "You don't know what cold is. Put a blanket on. Put a jumper on. I want to put the fire on. Put a." You get that back from me. You know what I mean? A round of expletives. And so my dad. But next winter, no way. I'm not going through another winter wrapped in a blanket. I'm getting a Caligas. Too right I am. I don't care how much it costs. I'm not going to be the richest man in the graveyard that celebrated being cold while he was alive. I'm going to be cold for eternity in the grave. So that's the background to this place. It's very good. I love it. It gives me a workplace to go to, a place where customers can come. I am running out of space though again, but I'm not going to expand. The next door unit is available. I did think about taking that on, but I'm already 60 this year, so I don't want to be growing a business for what? Because I've got no kids. I'm not married or anything, so there's no point really. I'm just going to see my days out in here, really, just doing what I'm doing. However, that's that. All the work I've been doing in the last few weeks, the trauma that I've experienced, not trauma, but how alarmed I was that my sales were collapsing, forced me, if you remember, to change direction. And I've gone from a paid postage model, which was working okay, I thought, to a free 48 postage model. I used to do free 24. I've moved to paid postage 24. Now I've gone to free 48. And my sales are going up. And this week's been great. And I can see that, some of the sales that I'm making, I'm not making a penny. I'm not losing a penny, I'm not making a penny. But I'm waiting for those people to come along and do multiple purchases, and they started to come. And last night I saw, it's only a small one, it was 3 reels of thread, but I know it's going to be a profitable one, probably running into its 30-40% or something. But if you get enough of those over a period of a week or something, then it makes your money. And haberdashery, it's small beer but high volume, and you've got 7 trading days with eBay. And although I used to get sales at night, I no longer get them at night for some reason. I think that but eBay's blocked it or something like that. But there was a time when I used to get international sales from Europe and America, and then Brexit came, and so I had to abandon all that. Although I'm going to try and go back into America again on my store, and I'm going to open up my store to the global shipping program. I used to be in the GSP as well. But I closed it down because I've got a problem with all my listings. Half of them have got the VAT in it and the other half haven't. So as I'm working through my listings, I'm resetting. There's no automated way of doing it. I have to go into each listing and put the 20% in. There's no way of working out which one's got the 20%, and which one hasn't. So as I'm working through them on this program, this initiative, I'm setting the flag for 20% VAT, and then when I've finished it, I'm going to put all the listings into the GSP program, because they all work to my advantage. Because a lot of people can't buy this stuff in the countries that they're in. I know it from experience, especially in Northern Ireland, and the GSPR program now has given a lot of problems for our Northern Irish. I had a woman speaking to me the other day on my store, and she said she bought from me in the past, and she was trying to buy something again, and she asked why. And I replied to explain, the GSPR and everything. She said, "Oh my, not another one." So I don't know what they're going to do to get the stuff that they need, because I know they don't have big haberdashery stores in Northern Ireland, indeed in the whole of Ireland. Although there's some, but it's not as prevalent as, every high street, every town, every little village used to have a haberdashery shop. Same in England. They're just not around anymore because the overheads just don't match the costs. The costs don't match the profit levels. eBay's quite suited to it, provided you've got low-cost premises. If a new landlord takes this place over and puts the rent up, it's going to leave me a problem. I'll either have to swallow the cost, or change my model, or go maybe, if I'm having to pay out, say, 12 grand a year, maybe I have to go and find a shop somewhere that puts me on the high street that gives me a similar footage, but where I might have walk-in trade as well. You know, that's what I might have to do. But I don't welcome the prospect of moving everything. It'd be a nightmare. Which brings me on to another thing. If I ever have to give up, I've got a couple of choices. One is to sell the whole lot to somebody at a fire sale price. They'll get a bargain. Or basically take each listing that I've got, put it together, make another listing, and sell it off. Each parcel, each product is a one-off discount, to sell it that way. That's going to be my exit strategy, how I get out. But that's that. I didn't plan to make this video. It was only because your man asked the question. I thought I'd give you a quick update. I'm encouraged by the sales volume at the moment. I've got a lot of work to do. Next week I'm on holiday for a week, and so you probably won't get any videos from me, unless I take my hard drive with me and watch some old videos, and if I find something suitable I'll put it on. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening to me. If you got this far, that is, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. It helps, and I'll be back with another video soon. Thank you very much. Bye.